brain is going to explode with questions and concerns about parenting, education, and what is right for you and your child.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Mindful Mummies podcast. I'm Bree.
And I'm Stina.
And we're sisters-in-law with backgrounds in education, and combined we have 5 very busy boys.
Our hope is to create a community for parents where we can learn, laugh, and support each other.
We'll be joined by special guests who inspire us and bring different perspectives to the table.
Thanks for joining us. Hi, Margery. Welcome back to the Mindful Mummies podcast. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me, you guys. I really love recording with you two, and I really appreciate all the conversations we have together.
Yeah, we're excited about this one today because I think it's going to be helpful for a lot of parents out there, for sure. So
Yeah.
So where do we start?
Oh my gosh, I know.
All that's going on.
Unprecedented time,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I think, I've written a few of my thoughts on COVID-19 and where we are, and I just wanted to start by saying that I respect that everyone has, different levels of feelings about the situation, and that this is just my opinion and my thoughts, and I'm open to hearing other people's feelings on the subject too.
For sure. Well, we definitely have lots of questions for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we absolutely loved all of your notes that you shared with us, so we can't wait to share these with our listeners as well.
Why don't we start with some of your questions? I think probably what everyone wants to know from you guys and maybe from me is, how do we navigate family life through something like this that we've never had to deal with before?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I think we're going to start off with 5 tips for COVID and kids that Margery has prepared for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So my first tip is, the fact that everything's canceled, essentially as they know it. Their school, their activities, their play dates, their life has been canceled. And I think that as adults, we have a really hard time wrapping our brains around that and what that means. And I think for kids, we really need to remember that we need to leave some time for them to process this. It's going to take a long time, and it's going to come out in different ways and be expressed at different times as they start to realize it. And it's a bit funny because it happened at March break. So right now, maybe this is normal that they're out of school, but in another week or so, being out of school isn't normal. Mm-hmm. So that element will start to play a role in their lives, or being out of daycare, or that their parents aren't going into the office to work or leaving the house. Their whole routine is rocked and shaken and looks and feels different. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that came up in our house among our boys is someone kind of threw out the word, you need to be grateful and you need to not be selfish during this time. And it sort of came out amongst the siblings, this conversation. And I actually really want to take some time to honor the fact that we also need to feel a bit sad.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
about the fact that our lives are canceled from a kid perspective.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I keep thinking about, we've had these conversations, like our kids' birthdays are coming up, and I just had my birthday, and
today's my sister-in-law's birthday.
And Easter's going to be coming, and I'm, as a parent, I'm trying to now I'm looking ahead to try and figure out how I'm going to navigate that as well, and how I'm going to explain to them that I'm not going to be going, like the big one is, every time, like most parents do, they go and they get decorations and go to the dollar store or whatever. Those are just little things that Jake has remembered from last year that he's asking me about, and that I have to explain to him that we can't do right now. So anyways, just when you said that, those are some of the fears and worries that I'm having. I don't know if they're necessarily fears or worries, but it's like you said, I'm sad about it. I'm sad at the thought of celebrating Easter without my parents, without my parents-in-law, extended family, whoever we usually celebrate with,
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that it's fair to be sad about that. And I think one of the things that I don't want to rob from all of us humans right now is that some of the uncomfortable emotions that we're going to have around this, especially I don't want to rob our kids of having those feelings. And yet on the flip side of that, I have been amazed at the creativity of my friends during this time with birthdays and celebrations and parents, and seeing people, their parents drove by in a car and they rolled down the window to wish their kids a happy birthday.
So cool to see.
It's so amazing. It's so different. It's so beautiful, but it's also so sad. Right? These are very real things, and we don't know how long it's going to go on for. And I just want to make sure we hold space for our children to feel sad about that and not just wipe it off the table as if it's not happening.
Yeah, I feel like it's sort of like each day my 8-year-old is like slowly realizing exactly how big of a deal this is. Like, he'll be like, oh, well, Mom, can't we just like go swimming at the pool? Like, can we go to Canada Games pool? Because we were going for a drive. Let's go to Canada Games pool and go swimming. And I was like, oh no, honey, like all the pools are closed. Like we cannot.
Everything's closed.
Go to a pool. And then our little toddlers are like, can we go get ice cream at Yum? And can we go to the candy store? And we're like, no, we're not. We're trying to not go into stores right now. Like some stores are still open and you can do takeout, which is awesome. But it's not the same experience. Like they're used to going into a store and hanging out and like eating our ice cream in the store and having a fun time and trying to like explain that. And then like parks, like we'll say we're gonna go for a walk, and the kids are constantly like,
want to go to the playground.
Let's go to the playground. And we're like, sorry.
Well, and like we decided yesterday, we just said we just need to get out of the house, so we packed the kids up in the car and we just went for a drive around Stanley Park and the whole time they see a playground and we want to go on the playground, and there's yellow tape like all around the playground material. It's just like all of these little things, they start to grow in your mind, and you just can't believe that you can't believe what you're actually seeing. Like you can't believe that your playgrounds in the city are taped with caution tape and the beaches are, all the logs on the beaches are now gathered in a pile with gates around them, and it's so, like Stina and I keep saying, it doesn't feel real. It feels like you're just in a dream, or that it's like, okay, we just want to wake up now from this nightmare.
Yeah. I know, and I think different things at different times will trigger those feelings for us. And, for me, it was when I walked by my kids' school, and I just kind of hit me that this is a place where my kids go to learn and to gather and to be with their friends, and this is community, and this is part of their home, and that piece is gone. And if it's difficult for me to understand that and comprehend that and process that, imagine what it's like for them.
Yeah.
That there's a big part of this that's really, really hard for kids. And you know me, I've always said emotions fall into two camps. There's comfortable and there's uncomfortable. And our job is to be okay in both camps.
Yeah.
To be able to sit in the uncomfortable as much as we can sit in the comfortable.
Yeah.
And so there's lots here to digest. And I think that for our kids, we just need to leave that opportunity for them to express how they're feeling about it, like an open door.
Yeah, and I do feel like it's coming out in different ways. Yeah. Like
emotions.
And as they start to understand that this is a more long-term thing, as we start to understand it as a whole, I think that it evolves each day, and we just need to sort of ride the wave for ourselves and for them. And the hard part is, like, I know it's okay to be sad, and I know it's okay to be upset, but I feel like I need to, like, still protect my kids from that. Like, I'm such a crier. Like, I cry all the time. That's how I process my emotions, and I'm trying to, like, keep that to a minimum, because I don't want to scare them,
Right.
But then I also want them to feel okay to be sad too. So I'm not sure how to balance that.
And I never cry, and I've cried on my birthday. I was a disaster. I I was a mess on my birthday. So it's weird. It's so interesting how people are being affected by it differently, and
I think everyone's response to this is a little bit different. And my dad always has some wise words for me, and he said it's important to separate awareness from panic. And I just said, for the record, I'm in the panic camp, in case anyone's wondering.
Yeah.
It's hard to stay out of panic and to stay in awareness.
Yeah.
But I do think that those words were really important, because I think right now it's important that we're vigilant. It's important that we isolate and social distance. And I think it's important that we do our part as global citizens, and we'll talk about more how that looks for kids as we get through the tips. But with all that in mind, it's also hard not to panic and not to feel scared and not to worry. I think sometimes my greatest worry of having 3 boys is food.
Yeah.
How fast we go through food, and
Yes.
just that I will always be able to supply that for them, and sometimes that feels scary.
Yeah.
In these uncertain times that, I know everyone's assuring us that food won't be an issue, and I do believe that it won't, but I can't help but worry when I see my refrigerator go from full to empty in one day.
Yeah. Well, and
we're here and hungry.
Yeah, we see it here. I mean, it's unbelievable how fast we're going through groceries. I don't know why it feels more so than before.
We're not eating out
I guess
at all.
It's because
like,
we're just not
coffee shops and no takeout.
It's just everything's from home.
Everything's from home.
And then we're trying to wipe down every single item and sanitize every single item, which in itself is a huge job. Going to the grocery store is super stressful, and then coming home and having to sanitize everything and get it put away and find space for it, and it's crazy.
Yeah. And then the other thing, here we are, we're like, bleh. Here it is, Margery. Ask us how we really feel right now. But then the other thing that's interesting, and I know our parents will listen to this, but I feel a responsibility for my parents right now too, big time. And I know you feel that way too. Yeah. And last night I was up in the middle of the night thinking, I found out my dad went to the grocery store, and I was like, why are you guys doing that? Like you have children, we can do that for you. And so I was up worrying about it. And so I feel like, you're worrying about your kids. Now you're worrying about your parents. And it's just it's so much. And, the last thing our parents want is for us to be worried about them. But they're vulnerable right now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's fair, and how we feel translates to our kids too, and we have to be mindful of how we're handling things emotionally.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And I feel like they're also being given different rules for how they live their everyday life. For us, it's if the doorbell rings and there's a delivery, just ask them to leave it at the front door.
Yeah.
That's a very different rule than they're used to having.
Yeah.
They're used to being able to answer the door and take the package and bring it inside. And I would never have said wash your hands before.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, don't touch that package.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
the messaging behind our rules is also sending fear for them, whether we like it or not. We're really operating in different times right now. And I think that I kind of have this rule that we're going to feel all the feels. If we're going to feel scared, we'll all feel scared. And if we're going to feel grateful, we'll also all feel grateful. We're going to have to go through all of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, should we move to
tip
number 2?
Yeah, tip number 2.
Because we could be here all day.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Your poor listeners.
No, they love you.
Hopefully we're a little bit entertaining.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I know, I will tell you a quick aside that the other day I took my guitar outside and I was playing it, and I have some elderly neighbors who were listening to me play the guitar, and then I did say that they thought COVID was bad. Now they're having to hear me play guitar. Terrible.
Oh.
But all was going well until the cat was so bored himself that he ate one of my guitar strings. So,
Oh,
yeah. I know. So, There's lots of different things to laugh about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so tip number 2, you guys, is routine. I think that as we roll into next week, things are going to look really different. We're officially going to be off what we called spring break, and as there's lots of unknowns, I think it's probably helpful to roll into some kind of routine. I've never, ever, ever been one for a strict schedule. So, there's people who function really well in kind of more of a militant-based schedule where at like 9 a.m. we eat breakfast, and at 9:30 we've got our school book out, or, at 11 o'clock we're doing exercise. I've never been one for a strict schedule, but I am one for routine. And the reason I am a supporter of that is because we do better when we can predict what's coming next. We see that from very early on in preschool classrooms when they have shape of the day. And we've talked about this in previous podcasts where it says, first we're going to sit in circle time, and then next we're going to have a snack, and then after that we're going to have recess, and then after that we're going to work on our whiteboards or whatever we're going to be doing. But the kids know what's coming next, and to know what's happening next in your life is comforting. It's totally reassuring, and probably at a time where things don't feel reassuring, routine would be helpful. So I just offer parents as much as you can to start to develop some semblance of a routine for your children. They're going to be home for a long time. And if we can offer them an order in which we do things, it will be helpful.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think what I'm worried about is that I have, an 8-month-old, almost 8-month-old, and then an almost 3-year-old and almost 9-year-old. And so how do I create a routine when they all 3 have such different needs? Like, for us to get the toddlers together, it works well, but that requires like the baby to be napping and then 9-year-old to have something to do on his own or with someone else. And it's like, Yeah.
I think for you as a parent, routine's going to look a little bit different than for your kids. So for each of your children, your routine might be different.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's more important that they know the routine than you having a routine.
Yeah.
As a mother of 3 with such broad age gaps, you're going to feel more chaos.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what I want to offer them is more routine.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
For your 8-month-old,
He can he's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's also your 3rd born.
Oh, and he's here.
And he's here.
He just woke up from his nap.
Oh, he's very cute. Oh, he's very happy too.
He's so happy.
Yes.
Does that help?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's I actually I wrote down just sort of like a schedule, just to because I felt like I needed a visual or just something to keep me on track. I am finding it tough to stick to now. We're just trying it out now, but yeah, it's
now's the time to try it. This is the time to kind of play with it, and I could even put a word in that is less. We've kind of got schedule, which sounds very strict.
Yeah.
Which sounds less strict, and then we can even look at it as just like a pattern. What's the pattern of the day?
Yeah,
that's nice.
And that feels less heavy for a lot of people because so much is off that we're going to have to play with a pattern a little bit to figure out what it is. This is such a new normal for all of us. What our pattern is going to take time.
I had some giggles going on here.
This guy brings us some joy.
Yeah.
I know, right? His ignorance should be all of our bliss right now.
Yes.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Not knowing.
Yeah. And we don't know what the school systems are going to provide as far as online learning and resources as well. I wonder, is my 8-year-old, is he going to be have a schedule to log in every day at 10 a.m.? I don't know. He might have his own thing, his own thing going on, but we're sort of just trying to make sure that we move our bodies and get exercise, and we do some kind of learning, and we eat lunch, and then we
quiet time,
nap time, and play in the backyard, and trying to have some sort of, like you said, pattern to each day and a flow.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys are kind of nailing it. I think that's exactly it, is to have a pattern and a flow to your day. And I think we all know, what functions best for our bodies, like good nutrition, good sleep, movement, all of those things, having, some quiet time or meditative time, all of those things are good for our bodies and our brains and our general overall health. So probably now more than ever, we need to have those things as part of our pattern.
Totally.
Have you ever heard of hygge? If you follow Stina and I on Instagram, you'll see that we love hygge. It's one of our favorite things. There is no English word that directly translates from the Danish word hygge. It is often related to coziness during the colder months. However, to us, hygge means creating warmth, love, and togetherness by spending time with the ones you love all year round. We want to take a quick moment to tell you about our latest project, the Hygge Family Box. It's a curated selection of our favorite local gifts aimed to bring families together and delivered right to you. Our mission is to bring families together and create presentness by being in the moment with the people you care about. This is what hygge is all about. It is a Danish word that means coziness, warmth, and togetherness. Every item in our Hygge Family Box has been carefully selected by Lisa from Giving Gifts and Stina and Bree from the Mindful Mummies. They are all beautiful gifts that we use in our homes and with our own families to create a warm and inviting environment filled with special, meaningful moments. Our seasonal family box will help you effortlessly spend quality time with your loved ones while learning and trying new things together along the way. So grab your family, open the Hygge Family Box, and let's get hyggely! For more information on the Hygge Family Box, you can follow us on Instagram at the Hygge Family Box or visit our website at themindfulmummies.com. We're also saying that there's some of our friends who just have said, I can't even wrap my head around a routine right now, or getting myself, because they're just feeling low and down, and they haven't changed out of their pajamas, or they're still, and so what would you say to those people?
Yeah, I think that it's fair. The same thing I'd say we want to offer our kids. Some people are going to need more time than others to wrap their heads around this. And I think that, if they're feeling that way, just to honor those feelings for a little bit. I mean, there are so many things that we are thankful for and we should be thankful for, but it also takes time to process what's currently happening and how we're going to handle that. And there's some very real stresses out there for some people, just to be able to pay their bills, or how their jobs changed, or their income's no longer coming in, or they're all of a sudden having to work from home and homeschool their children. And I think that those are very real, true things. And while there's the flip side that, we've got so far and hopefully can maintain a fairly decent healthcare system to respond to the crisis, and we're all living, most of us are living in fairly nice homes, and most of us are already healthy, as if we don't catch COVID, have healthy, good immune systems, and there's a lot of things that we can be thankful for. But on the flip of that is real stressors, and I don't think we should deny people that respond to that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I want them to have the time to feel those feels.
Totally.
Absolutely,
I want to invite your listeners to say, you know what, guys, this is what you need. You need to get into a routine. You need to do it fast.
Yeah. Everybody's got to go at their own speed. Yeah.
I think we all need to be good to ourselves right now.
Absolutely.
Totally. So,
okay, should we move to 3?
Yeah, with our patterns, what kind of rules?
Well, when you're thinking about your pattern, I'd like you to let go of some of your ideals on this, because I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the things that I probably worried about before, or were very strict on before, all of a sudden don't have the same weight. They don't matter as much. And I think we're looking at things as overarching values right now, until we see where this all falls out. And until we find that pattern and until we figure out what our routine is going to look like and what our day is going to look like, I would like parents to be soft and kind to themselves and forget about this looking perfect or looking like it should in an ideal world, because this isn't an ideal world. So I hear parents saying things like, my kid's on his 4th hour of screen time. And is that ideal? No. But is that getting you through what you need to get through until you figure out what your new normal looks like? Then who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, nobody died from too much Xbox, you guys, or too much time on the iPad, or an extra Oreo cookie, or whatever it is. We just need to let the rules go until we figure out what our new rules look like. And that's going to shift. Everyone's value system is shifting in response to the crisis.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I feel like it's changing every day still. Like it's still, continually changing and evolving.
Yeah. Like just like the example I gave earlier, like the new rule is don't open the door.
Right. Yeah.
That wasn't a rule before.
Yeah.
That was never important before.
Yeah.
That never mattered, and now all of a sudden it matters. So what doesn't need to matter right now until you sort it out, I really would like parents to be kind to themselves. And who cares? We'll figure this out. We're a creative group of people. We'll make sense of this, and we will put the right rules back in as we need to. We'll know what they are. We all know that we're not going to give our kids endless hours of screen time for multiple months in a row. Mm-hmm. But right now, for a little bit, sure. We're all trapped inside of our homes with our little kids, and it feels weird, and it's going to take time.
Yeah. One rule that I wanted to ask you about is that we've been seeing our parents from a distance. So like we all go drop off. My parents aren't going to the grocery store. We're getting it for them. So I'll go drop off something like on their porch, and then we'll like sit in the car and talk to them, or we'll, stand across the street and have the kids strapped in the stroller. The other day we went to the beach, but we stayed far apart from each other, and we found a spot where nobody was around. And we've been trying to explain to the kids, like, can we go run to Mama and Papa? Can we go run and give them a hug? Or can we go into Nono Nina's house? So we're trying to explain to them, no, we can't. And what I've been saying is you can't because there's a virus right now, and we don't want to share germs, and we want to keep everybody safe and healthy. So yeah, I'm just wondering if you have any tips on how to navigate that with like the toddler, sort of 2, 3, 4-year-old age. Yeah. I can explain it to my 8-year-old, but it's really hard to explain to the toddlers.
Yeah, I think you did a really beautiful job explaining it to your toddlers. Oh, I think that's exactly it. I mean, the concept of germs isn't really new to them. Mm-hmm. At school, if they're asked to wash their hands, or preschool programs are asked to wash their hands, they've heard it before. Probably not as much as they're used to hearing it.
Yeah.
If my kids hear me say wash your hands one more time.
I know.
I know. Yeah.
Or hand over your phone so I can sterilize it with a Clorox wipe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, it's heartbreaking when you say that. It just rips my heart that they can't go hug the people that they're used to hugging.
Yeah. And it's really upsetting. Yeah.
It's really upsetting. And that kind of goes to my first tip that, as a parent and as a human being, things are changing for our kids in a way that we've never seen before. And the fact that we can't hug someone that we know and love is heartbreaking. And the fact that we're going to lose some of the people that we know and love is heartbrreaking. Yeah. This is a heartbreaking situation. I think you handled it brilliantly. I think that's exactly how to explain it. Right now, we have these germs that we can't share.
Yeah. I feel like in with our generation too, like our parents are much more involved in our children's lives than my grandparents were. I mean, my grandparents we would see on special occasions and birthdays and Christmas or whatever, and maybe dinners every now and then. But I mean, we see our parents, especially my husband's parents, at least once a week. And so in a sense, to our kids, they're like a second set of parents that now they don't have access to. And I think that is, it's been really sad. And it's like, you can't help but wonder, how is that? Are they oblivious to it, or are they aware? Are they like, what are they thinking about all of this? You know, maybe they're not realizing anything's that different, but maybe, I don't know. I think about that all the time. Yeah.
I think that it would be odd for them not to see a difference. I think they definitely are seeing and feeling a difference. So if there's someone who's in your life on a regular basis and is not there, that would be a big change for them. I think one of the things that I've really appreciated is how well people have used technology at this time. To do FaceTimes and video conferencing and being creative in that way. I think that would be a really great way to help keep that connection alive. Photographs would be another great way to keep recording or showing memories and of the times they are together, so that they can still feel those feelings, because photographs pull on that emotional part of your memory. So that would be a really important thing to pull out or have out for them to look at. Well, we have photo books. My mom makes these beautiful photo books, so the kids love to look back on those and read them.
That's a good idea to bring those out.
Sure. Have those handy right now. Those are important. You know, our memory and our emotions are connected. So we should use those to help our kids through this time.
And Bree's been doing like happy hour with her family. and then this morning my mom was teaching the boys a music class over FaceTime when she was like singing them songs, because she loves to sing songs with them. So they were singing Slippery Fish on FaceTime. It was very cute.
That's awesome. That's amazing. I think those are the beautiful things we can do. Right? I do think that one part of psychology to remember from a health perspective for our own mental health during this time is to focus on the things that we can do. It's really important to keep our minds there. What can we do to help the situation? What can we do to benefit our children? And those kinds of things are things we can do that benefit both your kids and your parents. Because they're socially isolated too.
I just think about how bored they must be too without... I know, they're bored. They're so bored.
And they are. And, humans, we thrive on connection. That's what we're meant to connect. And now we're disconnected. And that's a funny feeling for a lot of us. So I'm really grateful that we do have technology to create that connection.
Totally. We just did our first Instagram live yesterday, and it was so fun, and it was great seeing people like commenting and watching along and interacting, and it felt like we were actually like connecting with people, which was cool. Very cool. It is great. I mean, I've been FaceTiming my girlfriends and my parents and my family, and my family's all back east, so we're used to that. But, sorry, there's a dinosaur here.
What is going on back there? This is real life, you guys.
It's real life,
Yes. Okay, so we kind of touched on this a little bit already, but tip number 4 is around emotions.
Right. I think, that kind of is our overarching conversation that we've had today about, how we're feeling. But I think one of the things I want to highlight here maybe is how we're handling our own emotions and how that translates to our kids. And this is like an area where, normally my advice would be, shield your kids a little bit from what's happening in the world, but it's our job as parents to navigate the media on their behalf, because the media can create a lot of fear. And even in this time, I've been trying to only get my information from, the World Health Organization or the Center for Disease Control, and not read articles that are fear-inducing. So I think because of that, but it's hard right now because we're being inundated with, information that's causing fear, and it's hard not to be afraid right now or uncertain, and it's hard not to pass those emotions on to your kids. And my kids even called me out on it. They said, Mom, you're telling us not to worry, but we can see how worried you are.
Yeah.
And you know, we had to have a little heart-to-heart about that. I said, I am a little bit worried. I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm trying to do everything I can to be a part of the solution, but it doesn't take away my worry. So, you know, I guess at this time we've got to know that if they're feeling our feelings, that we might need to compensate more and you know, let them know we're doing everything, and hug them more and kiss them more and cuddle them more, and we've got this time on our hands. And I've always told my kids time is the greatest gift we're ever going to be given, and here we are. We've got nothing but time. It's all we have.
Yeah.
So let's use it well to connect to them through what's difficult, and also do what we can. I mean, we hear this all the time, you know, we should meditate and we should take deep breaths and we should do all these things, and you know, we should turn into whatever our practice is, whether that be yoga or, you know, going for walks. But we can do those things without sounding cliche, and we can do those things to try to reduce our own anxiety. To read articles that only make sense to us, to not constantly be checking the news. You know, we know what's happening at this point. To settle our own emotions, to be helpful to our kids. And I think that part of the reason our emotional response is so big is because we don't have the answers right now.
Yeah.
So that's a hard thing to have when our kids ask questions like, how long? Well,
Yeah.
I don't know how long.
Yeah.
And uncertainty is not a good feeling.
No.
You know?
No.
So then it's like, well, what am I certain about? And I'm certain that I love you, and I'm certain that I'm going to do all I can to get us through this as a family, and I'm certain that we have each other and that we can work together to do our best to get through a time that does feel scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay. Should we go on to my favorite tip, you guys?
Yes. I love this one too.
Okay. I'm so excited to get off a heavy topic and onto a great topic.
Yes.
Okay. Contribution. I feel like this is something we've talked about in previous podcasts. I feel like this is something I'm really, really passionate about. So I'm excited to talk about this. I've always said, you know, we call them chores at home. You know, and parents ask me all the time, you know, what chores should my kids be doing, and should I pay my kids for their chores? And, you know, I've got my own personal belief system on this, and I think how we do this in our home depends on what we value, but I've never wanted to pay my kids to do chores in the house. And that's because I want them to know that they are a valued member of the home, and that we work together to make this home run, and that without them I couldn't do it, that we're a team. And that our contribution starts in the home. It's their first opportunity to learn what it's like to give to something that's bigger than themselves. I'm folding the towels, not just for me, but for my whole family. I'm loading the dishwasher, not just my dishes, everybody's dishes, so they'll all get clean. And while we're doing that, my mom might be cooking in the background, or, you know, somebody else is vacuuming, but we're all doing something for the greater good of the whole unit. And contribution starts in our homes. And from there it moves to our schools, and we see that at preschool, that a child's job is to sweep the floors or to wipe the tables or to tuck in the chair, but they are part of a community there, and everything they do there is for the greater good of their community at school. And then it builds to society, and, you know, hopefully our children grow and leave the house and they do something meaningful in society, whatever that looks like for them as it translates into what kind of work they do.
Yeah.
And now we're asking our kids to take that one step further and to be good global citizens.
Yes.
You know, what are we doing for our world? And it's a really interesting time because we've talked about this a lot, and we talked about in the beginning, you know, what does social distancing look like for some people, and how are others taking it? And I'm frustrated by those that aren't taking it seriously. I'm asking my kids to be good global citizens and to not hang out with their friends and to not have play dates or sleepovers or whatever that looks like, because I'm asking them to contribute to the greater good of our world. And I think that it's important that we teach them that this is something beyond themselves. This is something they can do. This is important. And it's a conversation I hope every parent is having in their home with their kids, no matter how old. You know, that we are doing this to protect everyone. And much, Stina, to your comment that you made about why your kids can't hug your parents right now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because I have been talking a lot with my 8-year-old about it and how we are doing this for the planet and for the greater good, not just for ourselves. But with our little guys, I think that is a good way to help them understand it. Like they're used to us saying, like, when you have a cold, don't kiss the baby, or when you have a runny nose, you don't give kisses because you don't want to share your germs. So now it's just taking it that one step further and explaining to them, you know, we want to make sure that nobody gets sick. We want to try and help to stop anyone from getting sick, right? And they can understand that, I think.
Sure, absolutely. I think that they're recognizing too that their value in that is so important.
Yeah.
That we need their help. They're part of the solution. We're all part of the solution.
Yeah.
Which is pretty amazing. I mean, as much as I don't want to see this ever happen again, and I'd like to see us get through this as unscathed as possible. The gifts here are endless, and being part of the solution is one of the gifts, and recognizing that we as one human have the power to do something to help many people.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. And so how, I mean, my question is to a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, how does that look? How do you convince them to help contribute?
Well, I think that it's important that you start to show them in the home. Like one of the ways that I've always done this in my house from when my kids were quite little is saying, well, you're doing this chore, I'm going to do this chore, so that we're both working together to get this job done, so that we're both important members. Or, you know, when we play games with our kids, you know, the idea that you're going to do or build something together, maybe not play a game, but if we take out the competitive piece, so let's say they're doing a puzzle even. Look, you contributed by adding this piece, and I contributed by adding this piece. So I guess I want to invite you to start doing it on a much smaller scale, so that they can start to grow that, and then highlight it every time you see it. You know, without you, I couldn't have done that puzzle, or without you, I couldn't have got that job done. Or if your kids are older, imagine if Mom did all the housework by herself. Imagine if I cleaned this whole house on my own. How long would that take me? But what if we did it together? You know, any project like that where you can highlight it. What would it look like if we all unloaded the car? What would it look like if we all carried the groceries in? What would it look like if we all clean up the kitchen versus one of us clean up the kitchen?
And what if they say, I don't want to clean up? I don't want to do that. Right. I'm challenging you, Margery.
Yeah, you know what? And that's what kids might say, I don't want to do that, right? They might not want to help. And I think that when we start to shift how they see their contribution and how they see themselves, that they are important, that attitude will go away.
Right, yeah.
You know, and maybe you do have to start back up if that isn't the messaging and they see it as work. You know, maybe you need to back up and change that view.
Yeah.
Maybe it starts with a puzzle, or it starts with you doing something together. I always think if they have if they're struggling to be part of it, that you need to tap in and get more creative. You know, why don't you choose a song to play while we set the table together and do the projects with them? I'll get the forks, you get the spoons. I'll get the napkins, you get the plates.
What are your thoughts on, like, this morning, I said, it's been the perfect opportunity to start to teach the concept of contributing and chores and that we all need to help out in this house. But this morning, so they wanted to go down to Auntie's house, and I said, okay, you're not going down until your toys are all cleaned up in the living room. What are your thoughts on that? Until you do this, then you won't get to do this. Is that too like harsh right now, or is it? What are your thoughts on that strategy?
I think that's very real life. I don't have anything wrong with that. I think that I can help you do that. We can do it together. But I do think that's very real life. Like, yeah, you can definitely go down and visit, but we're just going to spend a little bit of time cleaning up this first. And then when that's done, you're free to go. I mean, it's much like as an adult life, I'm going to go do something. I'm going to unload the dishwasher first,
Yes,
Do I really want to unload the dishwasher before I go to do something? Probably not. But, that's how we all function.
Yeah.
And they're part of your functioning. And then when they do that, there's your opportunity to turn around and look at the room and say, I really needed your help doing that. I'm really glad you were here to help me. And then they can go off. And if they don't want to help, then that's okay. They can't go downstairs. That's just a boundary.
Yeah.
Right? And that's okay. It's okay to set those boundaries in your home.
Yeah.
Does that help?
Absolutely, yeah.
I think there's so many gifts here. As much as I want you guys to really hear the part, and your listeners hear the part about processing the very difficult nature of the situation, I think that it would be lost if we didn't talk about I call them the gifts of COVID. And we have a little laugh about the gifts of COVID, but there are. The fact that we are doing things that we didn't do before. We didn't stop. We never stopped. We got lost in our own busy. We don't do enough together time. Every night we're sitting around the dinner table, setting the placemats and sitting down and eating together.
It's forcing you to, it really is forcing you to enjoy each other's company. Whether you want it or not. Yeah. There's this great meme going around on Instagram and everywhere, and it says, I'm sure everybody's heard it, but it's like the universe is giving us all a big time out and sent us to our rooms to think about our actions. And it's true. I mean, that's exactly how it feels. It's like something is trying to tell us, you guys all need to just chill out and stop the insanity. It's just too much. This is not how the world is supposed to be, and
I don't know about you guys, but I am thankful for this time that I needed to stop and take for myself and for my family. I mean, yesterday we did a whole house clean all together, and they were great about it, and we've gone for walks in the forest together. We've played cards together. We're eating together. We're doing, with the emphasis on the together piece, we're working out together. We're going for runs together. It's just something that I think I always wanted in my family, or more of it in my family, but it was like, where do I fit it in?
And how do I get there?
School
because
sports
everyone's going in different directions, and it's like, it's just forced you to stop and be in the moment. And it's a huge message that we all need to think about.
We're in many ways we've been given a gift here. It's hard to call it that, because I think there's going to be a lot of tragedy surrounding that gift, but I would say that it's a gift in the most ugliest of wrapping papers. But if we can open it up and get through it, that there are some beautiful things we can take away from this. I think we might find out that our children don't like to be as busy as we've allowed them to become.
I think that is so true. I think my kids are just fine hunkering down and not being, rushed out the door in the morning. And, they're going a little bananas, but they're also really enjoying this time. And every day they wake up and they say, is it still the weekend? And we say, it's going to be the weekend for a really, really, really long time.
I love it. the weekend forever.
Yeah, the weekend forever, you know.
Here's to Friday.
Yeah.
Here we go. I mean, I wonder, I think, Bree, if the parks were open, how would we feel? You know, if we had a little bit of more freedom on this, like let's say the beaches and the parks were open, what would this look like? Like, what would it look like if Vancouver didn't go away for spring break? Because we did see that last week, and even though I was frustrated by seeing a bunch of people play basketball and beach volleyball when we're supposed to be socially distancing ourselves, and I don't appreciate that right now, at the same time, if this pandemic wasn't happening, what would happen if we didn't pack our bags and go on spring break? And what would happen if we just stayed home and we hung out in the beauty of our own city with the people that we care about? Would that be okay, that we didn't all rush off and try to catch a plane and try and pack our bags and then have to come home and undo it all? And if our kids weren't enrolled in 1,000 activities, would we play more? You know, would after school look like Kids Beach every day? And is that bad? I don't think it is. I think it'd be great if our kids weren't so scheduled. If basketball was free play, not organized play, if volleyball was free play and not organized play, those things are good things.
I mean, it's such a challenging and sad and difficult time, but you're so right, there are some gifts from this as well, and it's so important to think about that. And I feel like through social media I'm seeing the overall tone of everyone is finding positivity in this and supporting each other and feeling like we are all in this together. And that really helps, because there's some days where I'm in a dark pit of despair and feeling very sad and having a hard time pulling myself out of it, but then I do feel that we're in it all together. I don't feel alone in it. So I think that's huge, and I think that's so important for our listeners to know too, is that we're all in this together and we're all working through it together, and it will end, and we hope that our efforts to social distance and to stay home are going to help this end faster and with less sadness.
And tragedy.
You know, I kind of think we've never been so alone yet so united at the same time.
Exactly.
You know, that's kind of the message that I'm sending out, and you know, appreciative of the people who are on the front lines, the doctors who are battling this. And
I mean, those are the people, when you think about the soldiers that went out to war in World War II, the doctors and the nurses, and the grocery store clerks. Like, you walk into the grocery store and you see these young kids that are there at the checkout, and I mean, it amazes me, all the people that are still out there putting on a brave face when they're faced with this, something that is possibly it could be life-threatening. And they're the soldiers, the heroes right now, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's many heroes in our community right now. And I'm going to do all I can to be thankful for them and protect them. And I'm definitely going to do my part. And maybe I'm overreacting, but I don't feel like I am.
No.
I think that I would appreciate if more people could be overreacting to the situation that we're facing, so that we can all be part of the collective and we can be really positive contributors to our own city and our own country and our own globe. So that's my personal feelings on it. I recognize that not everyone feels that way, but
I think we echo those 100%. Yeah.
And in the meantime, I think that we go back to focusing on continuing to focus on the things we can do, and we find out that we are incredibly creative souls.
Yes.
It's so true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was getting really comfortable with DoorDash, I gotta say. Like, too comfortable. Like, way too comfortable. It's like, oh, it's a DoorDash night. It's a DoorDash night. It's a DoorDash night. And now I no more DoorDash, and it's really forcing me to just, put my cooking pants back on. And
We're getting creative in the kitchen, creative with the kids. Lots of different ways.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Isn't it amazing? It's amazing what you can make and what you can put together with what you have in your fridge.
Totally.
I know.
Totally.
Yeah. It's been a lot of cooking nights for us too. Cooking nights in sweatpants. It's,
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
I think that the beauty of it right now is that we can still support each other through podcasts like this and through connecting via FaceTime, and I'm reaching out to one another and being there for the people who can't go out, like the elderly. Doing what we can to support each other is really important. So
100%.
I think that there's some good things here.
Absolutely.
Okay, do you guys have any other questions for me? Have I missed anything?
No, I think that's awesome. We'll make sure to share your tips on our website. And as always, we'll share your contact info if people need to get in touch or have questions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but that was so good to catch up with you and talk about everything going on right now. We really, really appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah, Margery, thank you. Always good and comforting.
It's always so good to talk to you guys. I really appreciate what you're doing, and I think you guys are amazing. You know how I feel.
Well, you
Thank
too.
you. We think you're amazing.
Well, hang in there.
Yes, you guys too. I mean, you guys have young ones. I at least have some older ones to take the stress off. But
gosh. They all have their own challenges, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, stay healthy. Stay
yes,
healthy
you guys
and
too. Stay safe.
take
We'll
care.
chat soon.
We'll talk
Okay.
to you soon.
Bye, Margery.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast today. We hope you're finding it comforting and helpful along this crazy journey of parenting. If you like what you're hearing and you enjoy listening to our podcast, we would so appreciate it if you would subscribe and leave a quick review. Also, if you want to find out more about us, you can follow us on Instagram at The Mindful Mummies or visit our website at themindfulmummies.com. There you'll find all sorts of resources, our blog, and some background information. Thanks again and have a great day.